Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video, very excited because I have two of the brand new Nars Orgasm Collection that came out for spring 2023. I have the palette, the 9-pan palette, as well as the blush palette, which has 3 blushes and a highlighter. So I did get both. I also did get both shades of, I guess, the cheek tints or the cream, blush, but I'm going to do a separate video on those because I want to compare them to other cream blushes that I have because I do love cream blushes. So I want to compare them to my nude sticks and then some other, cream blushes that I have. So I'm going to do a completely separate video on that, but I'm going to go ahead and test these out today. So I have to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to pick these up because these were released on January 1st, which was the first day of our family vacation. We didn't get back until the 8th, and then I had to work like my real job. And I knew I wasn't going to have a chance to film before everybody else. People were getting a PR. So I wasn't sure, but then I looked at it and I said, you know what? This is a collection that I really want. So I went ahead and purchased it for myself. And obviously I'm doing a video on it right now, but it was something that I planned on using because one, I really like the Nars eyeshadow formula and I really like their 9-pan palettes. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Also, I love their blush. The Orgasm blush was what I wore on my wedding day. That was my first introduction to that blush and to that shade. And it has been a staple, and I got married in 2010. It has been a staple in my makeup routine for almost 12 and a half years. And I had to throw out and declutter my recent blush because it was like 5 or 6 years old and it just pretty much wasn't working anymore. It wasn't really getting pigment. So I really wasn't going to buy an individual blush. And when this one came out, I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to get. So very excited for this collection because it's something that I'm personally intending on using. And obviously I'm going to be reviewing today. So first up, we can just take a look at the packaging. Packaging is very similar to each other. They are also the same size. So you can just see it is called the Orgasm Rising Eyeshadow Palette and then the Orgasm Foreplay Blush Quad. So that is the name of the two products. And let's go ahead and take a look at the eyeshadow palette first. And again, like I mentioned, this is a 9-pan. And here you go right here. Now it's very light. I think it's very good for springtime. I think it's very good. It's very much in line with their, with their aesthetic. I love the Nars eyeshadow formula. Right now I only own 2 9-pans. I have for Summer Solstice and then the Climax. I have those 2. I took both of those on a recent vacation because I do love the formula. I think it's a great, without sounding condescending, it's a good mature formula. It looks good on mature eyelids. It's good for daytime. You can spruce it up for evening. It's a really great formula. So I think it's a very consistent formula. I love that the palettes are always the same size, which makes it easy for storage. And then the blush quad is also the same size, which again makes it easy for storage. The only thing is I wish they had just put something on here to where you could just look at it without having to flip it over. That's the only thing, because from the front they're identical. So that's the only thing I wish they had done, was put something on the front, but otherwise I do think it's a very clean, nice aesthetic. So here is the eyeshadow quad, as you can see, or the eyeshadow 9-pan. As you can see, I have not touched it. And it's really pretty. I am going to do some comparisons to the other 2 that I own. Now, I did mention that I do prefer the 9-pans for Nars. I did do a review, I think it was the Stargaze 12-pan for Christmas. And what I realized with the 12 pans, a lot of the shades tend to repeat more. And I just prefer the 9-pans. When I'm traveling, I think 9-pans are a great, they're great to travel with. You got a couple shades, not as much as a 12-pan, but you just got enough where you can do a couple looks with a 9-pan. And with Nars specifically, I feel like they don't, the shades aren't as repeated as often. I did feel like with the Stargaze, even though I liked it a lot, some of the shades repeated. So I've personally decided that I'm going to probably be sticking to the Nars 9 pans and not purchasing any of their larger eyeshadow palettes. So again, so this is the Orgasm Rising Eyeshadow Palette. Okay, and so next up we have the blush quad, and this is the 4-play blush quad. And as you can see, it has 3 blushes. It has a highlighter. Now I have swatched the highlighter because I did swatch the highlighter to do some comparisons with the new Charlotte Tilbury highlighters. So I did do some side-by-side comparisons. This didn't compare to any of the 3 that I owned. And honestly, I don't think it compares to any of them because I had swatched the rest in store. So I don't think this one compares to any of the highlighters for Charlotte Tilbury. If it compares to other ones, then probably, but you know, I'm anxious to try it. It does look a little dark, but I did watch Teresa Is Dead review, and she's very pale, and she made it work. So she said it worked fine for her. So I'm excited to try this one because I think it's definitely a different type of shade than what I own. And again, this is Orgasm, which is a peachy pink with golden shimmer. And then you have Orgasm X, which is a satin deep coral pink. And then you have the Orgasm Rush, which is a rosy bronze. So I gotta tell you, I am really excited about the rosy bronze. So I've had both of the Orgasm and Orgasm X. They've since been decluttered because they just were old and they needed to be thrown out. But I've never had this one, and I've never had a Nars highlighter, so excited to try these. Okay, so let's do some quick swatches of the eyeshadow palette. So first we have the shade Hot Wired, which is a golden shimmer. Next is High Speed, which is a sparkling opal. And then third is Orgasm, which is a peachy pink with gold shimmer. Moving on, we have 7 Heaven, which is a matte sand. Next is Seduced, which is a sparkling amber. And then Reckless, which is a satin terracotta. Next we have Push It, which is a matte warm chestnut. Faster Pussycat, which is a metallic copper. Really like that. And then finally Galapagos, which is a bitter chocolate infused with gold. So these obviously are very light toppers, but I think this is just really pretty. Definitely different from anything that I have. Okay, and I did want to do a quick side-by-side comparison to the Summer Solstice palette that came out, I believe, in spring 2021. So almost 2 years ago. It was limited edition, so you can't get it anymore. But if you have it, here is a side-by-side comparison. So as you can see, you're going to get a lot more depth with the Summer Solstice. This is definitely more light and airy. So, but they're definitely a similar color scheme. And I went ahead and did some side-by-side swatches. So this is just pretty much in the same order. But as you can see, so the bottom is the Summer Solstice, the top is the Orgasm Rising, and very, very similar, but you're gonna get more depth with the Summer Solstice. So if you have Summer Solstice, you're on a budget, and you like a lot of depth, this is not going to be the 9 pan for you. So just go ahead and fast forward to whatever else you want to watch, or skip the video because this is not going to be the palette for you. Now, if you didn't get this one and you maybe wanted to, then this might be a good alternative, but again, you're not going to get the depth that you can get with this one. So it's definitely a different type of palette, very similar color story, but definitely lighter and airier. Now I like that because I tend to like deep eyeshadows, and using something like this will force me to go more light and airy, which I do like when I get the light look, you know, when I get the final look, but I tend to just go with what I know, which is more deeper, darker eyeshadows. So this is something that's going to push me a little bit out of my comfort zone. I mean, it's a neutral palette, so how much is it going to do? But I think I'm gonna get a really nice, you know, clean look with this. So excited to try. And since I compared the other 9 pan, let's go ahead and compare it to Climax. It's completely different. I mean, it's not even worth a side by side. This is cool. It's just a completely different palette. So, you know, if you have the Climax 9 pan, you know, definitely this is one that you're not going to be repeating. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the lightest matte shade, which is 7 Heaven, and just going to go in and put it on the crease as my transition. And the one thing I like about the Nars eyeshadow palettes is that I think they're very, very user-friendly. And then in the outer corner, I'm going to go in with Push It. I hate these names, totally hate these names. They really come out with the craziest names. So just gonna put that in on the outer corner and then blend it out. So I love how that came out because it blends so easily. I just love the Nars eyeshadow formula. It's just so user-friendly. I did say there was 3 mattes. There's not, there's 2. There's the 2 that I used, and then there's a satin. So now the satin you could definitely use on the outer corner, but there is only 2 mattes, so I did make a mistake on that. So I am gonna go in with Seduced, which is this sparkling amber in the middle. And that's what I'm going to put on my lid. And I'm going to go in with my finger. So I'm gonna go in with the sparkling amber, again with my finger. Now I did have a little fallout, probably user error. You know, again, as I have mentioned before, I am not a professional makeup artist. I started literally learning how to do my makeup at 43 during the shutdown, and I've just kind of become obsessed and really enjoyed it. But I've had a couple people critique me on my reviews, and basically my reviews are me reviewing makeup that I like and hopefully giving other women my age an idea like, hey, if you don't know how to do your makeup, this one's good, this one's not. And I would say Nars is a very good brand that if you are a amateur or a novice, that you're going to, it's a little bit easier to apply just because I think it's very user friendly. However, I did have a little fallout on the other eye. So with that, that is the sparkling amber on the lid. Okay, and then I am going to go in with, I guess, High Speed, which is described as a sparkling opal. I am going to put that on the inner corner and on both sides, and then I'm going to be done. So I think with this eyeshadow palette, you're going to get similar looks. It's all going to depend on what shade you put on the lid, you know, especially now if you're more creative, then you know you're probably going to get better looks than me. But if you're someone like me that you kind of have your way of doing eyeshadow, it's really going to depend on which shade you put on the lid. Obviously I went with probably the brightest shade, but if I went with this one here, which is Galapagos, I'm probably pronouncing that, that's going to give me a really smoky eye look, which I could definitely do. Or this Faster Pussycat, which I really, really like. This is like a copper. That one I love. So that would give me a totally different look. So really you can get a, you know, a variety of looks, but they're going to be limited, right? They're going to be limited, but I still think it's good. And if you're someone like me that's a novice, this is a really good eyeshadow palette that's going to be easy to apply and give you a really great look. Now this eyeshadow palette is $49. It is limited edition, $49. They sometimes go on sale. So, you know, if you want to wait for it and you want to take the chance, maybe it will go on sale. The Climax one was really popular and like sold out. And when it came back, it sold out again and now it's gone. But, you know, this one I don't think is as popular. So you could probably wait and see if it went on sale or wait for a sale at Sephora. I haven't seen it at Sephora yet. I only see it at Nars. But, you know, I do really like it. Is it needed? No. If you have similar shades, is it needed? No. There's a lot of eyeshadow palettes that are like this. But again, if you are a fan of the Nars eyeshadow palettes, I do think this is a good one. Okay, so now let's take a look at the blush palette. So I'll do a quick swatch here. So here is the highlighter, which is Swinger. Here is the blush Orgasm. Here is Orgasm X, and this is Orgasm Rush. So again, I have had Orgasm and Orgasm X in the past. They're beautiful. I love them. And this is definitely new. I don't even think this is an existing shade. So really excited to try these. And I think it is just a beautiful, beautiful palette. Now this palette runs $45. Now the blushes, each blush is 3.2 grams. So each one is 3.2 grams. And this whole thing is $45. Each of their individual single blushes are 4.8 grams and are 32. So this is, to me, a really good buy. So even if you pass on the eyeshadow palette, if you don't own any of these shades, now if you own one of these shades, I don't think it's a good buy. But if you don't own these shades, you've kind of always wanted to try it, I think this is a really good buy. Part of me kind of wish there was a bronzer, but then I really like this blush. And I can't decide on a blush I would have traded. So maybe if I would have traded the highlighter for a bronzer, maybe, but I still like, it depends on how much I like the highlighter. So let's go ahead and dig into it. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the Orgasm X and the Orgasm Rush. Orgasm, I think everybody's seen before. I love it, it's beautiful. But it is, and it's fairly pale. It's something that I would wear if I was having more of a bolder look. So let's go ahead and start with the Orgasm X, and just gonna place it here. And the Nars blushes are just so pretty. I think they just have this like luminous finish, but it doesn't add texture. So that is the Orgasm X. I think it's just stunning, really, really pretty. And I love it. And now I'm gonna go in with the Orgasm Rush on the other side. And this one is described as a rosy bronze. So I don't know if I would pair this blush with the eyeshadow look I did. Maybe if I had gone with the copper, but I do feel like they all kind of complement each other because they're all kind of in that rosy tone. So the set really does complement each other, but this is really pretty too. So definitely more, I won't say natural, but of a bronzier look. So this one is definitely a little brighter, and obviously I'm looking on a little mirror and a little monitor here, but I really like both. Again, I've had Orgasm X in the past. I think they're beautiful. Not a surprise. I've used them before. I love them, but I've never had this one right here. So this is, of the two items that I'm reviewing today, this to me is the must buy. And the true test for me is going to be the highlighter and if I can make it work, because it does look like it's going to be a little dark, but we're going to try it. And again, and yeah, it seems to not be as dark when you go kind of light-handed. So yeah, I really like it. It's really pretty. Now, I don't know if I like it more. I'm going to have to probably do some side-by-side comparisons if I like it more as a highlighter than the ones from Charlotte Tilbury, because I really, really like those. But those are individual highlighters and they're expensive. Like that one individual highlighter is more than this whole quad. So, but I do really like this, and it is not too dark for my skin, which is fantastic. Okay, so my final thoughts. Honestly, when I purchased the whole collection, I was definitely purchasing this, but I was almost not going to purchase this. Originally I was just going to purchase this and one of the cream blushes. And then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna add both cream blushes because I wanted to compare the two. And then I was just like, yeah, I kept thinking about it and realizing that I had decluttered my prior blushes. So I decided to add it. Of the two, the blush, to me, the blush quad is my favorite. I love the eyeshadow palette. I think it's beautiful, but there's other stuff on the market like it. I think, you know, it's definitely something I'm going to keep. I have no regrets purchasing it. I love it. I think it's great. However, if you have quite a bit of eyeshadow, you probably have something similar. If you don't, I think it's worth the purchase. However, if you don't have any of these shades, then I think it's worth it. If you have maybe just the one Orgasm shade, it may be worth it. If you have two, then no. But if you don't, if you've always wanted it, this is a great buy. $45. Again, 3.2 grams, whereas the regular blush is 4.8 grams. And so I think it's great. And they do complement each other. And again, what I also like is that they are the same size. So when you're traveling, this just makes it easier to travel with personally. So I like them both, but I really love the blush quad. To me, that's the really good buy. The eyeshadow palette, I think it's another eyeshadow palette. It's really pretty, but it's take it or leave it. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. I will be reviewing the two cream blushes, but again, I wanted to do more an in-depth comparison with other cream blushes that I own, because those are pretty pricey with other cream blushes. So I definitely wanted to compare them to the nude sticks as well as the one from M Cosmetics. So that is coming probably in the next week or so. So with that, you know, stay tuned. Bye everyone.